Alright, Cowboy TD wants to get a little Big 12 smack talk community going, and I really think that's a good idea. So I'm going to get in on this for Texas Tech. Doesn't seem like anybody else had posted the video yet. Seen some OU guys out there, a K-State guy, a few UT guys. I'm not sure if we got an A&M guy yet. They don't really have much to talk about, so I don't know what they would really say besides scoreboard to UT. That's pretty much all they're saying these days. But anyways, I'm going to save most of my venom for later in the season when things are a little more important, and do a little Big 12 preview. You know, I'm not even going to talk about the non-conference, because when you have 3 of the top 10 teams in the nation in your conference's division, your division, 3 top 10 teams, the non-conference is completely irrelevant. Does not matter one bit. So let's just start. October 4th, we begin Big 12 play at Kansas State. Our first of 2 trips to Kansas this year. And before the season, I was a little worried about this one. But Kansas State didn't really look very impressive against Louisville. I've heard their own fans referring to them as the Swiss cheese defense, and that's really not a good thing when you're playing Texas Tech, in case you didn't know. Really, if you want to know about K-State versus Texas Tech, you're already on YouTube. Just go ahead and search Dwayne Slay and click the first video that pops up. And that play right there is kind of what I think this year's game will be like in a nutshell. And sadly, I think a lot of K-State fans agree with me. I've been reading some things. They're not very high on their team or their coach right now. So we'll see. Maybe they'll rally and give us a good game, but they're a little worried about it right now. Move on to October 11th. Next to the friendly confines of Jones Stadium, face the Nebraska Cornhuskers. You remember the last time you came to Lubbock, Nebraska? You scored 10 points. We scored 10 touchdowns. 70-10. You're no doubt better than that year, but I don't know if you have enough. Joe Gann's pretty good. Marlon Lucky is a very good back. You haven't been tested yet. We haven't been tested yet, so I don't know what you have. I kind of know what we have, but in the Jones, probably a night game, I don't see you coming out with a victory. Which brings me to October 18th, and this is a day that no Texas A&M Aggie has marked on their calendar. I can promise you that, because Texas Tech will come into Kyle Field to face A&M. And yeah, the Mike Sherman era really got off to a flying start when you lost to Arkansas State. Excuse me. Hey man, I'm ripping on Aggies right now. I'll give you a call back. Sorry, where was I? Arkansas State. The Red Wolves. Anyways, their offensive line looks awful. Terrible, the whole offense. I mean, they got no wide receivers. Goodson, great player. Gerard Johnson has potential. He's making them look better. They cannot get it done with McGee. Crane has ruined McGee. They need to move on to Johnson. He's the future. He could be a good player. But it's going to be a lot of Tech fans at that game, and I anticipate that it could get it. Moves me on to October 25th, which is, I think, our first real test, sadly. October 25th at Kansas. Can't predict this game at all. I'm really worried about Todd Reesing, his playmaking ability. I feel like our defense is really good this year. We've got, a lot of playmakers, but that guy is just great with his feet and avoiding trouble. You can get the pressure on him, and somehow he uses his lack of size almost to avoid you and then throw a touchdown pass. So I know it's going to be a crazy game. I'm going, my first trip to Kansas, pretty excited about that, and I expect that to be a crazy game. Brings us to November 1st, and our good friends, the Texas Longhorns, will come to the Jones, where last time they escaped with a slightly controversial win. We blew it, that's for sure. They made a great comeback and We should have scored more points, but you know, there were some interesting calls in that game, and there were some interesting calls in the game last year, which was a crazy shootout. And hopefully John Bible, Austin resident, UT graduate, Texas State professor, and also Big 12 ref won't be there. Because if he is, I can pretty much guarantee that we're going down. But I know one thing, it's going to be blackout, it's going to be a night game, you're in the Jones, it's going to be wild. Which brings me to November 8th, Oklahoma State. Man, what a heartbreaker last year. Great game to watch. And probably that game was the key moment in Tech season this year. Because you killed our defense just enough for Mike Leach to finally get fed up and fire our old defensive coordinator and promote Ruffin McNeil. And Ruffin McNeil has just come in and raised the intensity, simplified the scheme, wants to attack, concentrating on making plays. The confidence is sky high with these guys. I mean, the defense has just been tearing it up. The last two games, the first team defense hasn't given up an offensive touchdown, not even close really. Yeah, it's SMU and UMass, but still. And they only gave up one offensive touchdown against Nevada. And yeah, so they're looking really good. Oklahoma State, they do have 3 backs, I believe. They're in the top 15 yards per carry, which is a crazy stat, which means they have a great offense. Zach Robinson, the QB, he's dual threat. He's scary, but I think we got enough to get it done in Lubbock. November 22nd. This is a game that I hope against hope will be for everything in the South. That's all I can ask for, is to get to that point and have a chance against OU in Norman. Because I think that's going to be the game. I'm hoping that Texas can knock off OU, you know, because I think we got a better chance of beating Texas in Lubbock. But if Texas can't knock off OU, then we might just have to do it ourselves. And I know the Sooner fan on here said that you got a bone to pick with us. Well, I got a bone to pick with you. It's called your 5 Big 12 championships. You've had enough. Why don't you let one slip? Just let us get one. You just want a shot at the title. That's my bone with you, OU. I don't understand why you think you got to win every title. Come on, share the love. After OU, which would be, if we actually somehow miraculously won that game, this would be a great game for us to blow it in. The Baylor game in Lubbock, Texas. And Baylor's a much improved team this year, and I'm pretty sure they're going to spring some, you know, maybe call them upsets. They might beat Oklahoma State or A&M. I think they're going to definitely beat Iowa State. Robert Griffin's a good QB. Maybe Art Briles will get it going down there. I'm still not, you know, really sold on that. I'm sold on Briles as a good coach, but I don't know if anybody can get it going at Baylor, honestly. But you know, it's hard because this is going to be a great season, but I have to say I'm going to be disappointed if we don't make it to the Big 12 championship game. We need to do it. We've got a couple of dynamic playmakers. We got a defense that's forcing turnovers. There's really no reason that we shouldn't go, but the one thing that might keep us from getting there, biggest weakness on Texas Tech, is the kicking game. Not the special teams. The return game is good, all that, but our kicker has been very suspect so far. That's what we get for giving a scholarship to a kicker. I don't know. He's really scaring me, and I'm afraid that could cost us a game somewhere along the way. But anyways, stay tuned, and yeah, it's going to be a crazy season. So go Big 12 and go Tech.